Hello everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's your boy James Murphy here, aka the Naked Smurf. Is that going to be an intro? Am I going to do that on every video? Probably not. I don't know. Anyway, where I'm up to, so 13 weeks out now, so been on prep for 4 weeks. I thought I started at 16 weeks out, turns out I started at 17 weeks out, so I've actually time travelled and gained another week back, and I chose to spend that week dieting. So it's always nice to have a little bit more time, but yeah, everything's kind of just ticking over as per usual. So I've dropped just under 3 kilos, 2.8 kilos, since we started prep 4 weeks ago, which was kind of to be expected because I did drop some weight during that pre-prep phase. And yeah, now it's just like nice and slow, which is perfect really, because if the weight was dropping too quick, I'd be like, oh shit, none of that muscle was real. It was actually all just water or fat, but it's not. It's sticking around, which is cool. Calories, training day 4,100, rest day 3,900, 25 minutes cardio on a rest day, 15 minutes on a training day every day except for legs. So where possible, I am doing that fasted in the morning. So I went in doing chest today, but I went in this morning and did me 15 minutes fasted plus 3 posing rounds. So I started doing posing rounds. I normally start 12 weeks out, but Andy's coming up on Friday and he's going to train with me and have a look at me in person. So I thought I'd start practicing now, just so I don't totally embarrass myself on Friday morning. And I'm fucking glad I did, because you know what? I am not fit. But that improves quick, so not overly concerning at all. Steps still at 10k a day, so if you add up all those minutes, that's 2 hours of cardio per week, plus 10k steps a day. Quick maths. So that's where expenditure's at. 2 weeks ago, Andy gave me a cheat meal, which was a burger and fries, large milkshake from Five Guys. Large milkshake? I think they only do one side. Large fries and a milkshake. And then on Friday last week, Andy gave me a high day, which was all clean food, same sauce as I'm using at the moment, but just more. In fact, there was one newer sauce in there, there was a bit of honey tucked into meal one. It came to about 800 gram of carb. So it wasn't crazy high, but it was higher than I had. And that's kind of the topic I want to talk about a little bit in this video. Cheat meals versus high days. Now, first off, just to kind of disclose this information, right? A cheat meal or a high day is not given as a fucking well done for sticking to your diet, all right? First and foremost, it's not a congratulatory thing. You haven't earned one just because you've been on a diet for a little while. It's not a, oh, well done, mate, you stuck to your diet, go on, you can have a cheat meal, or you can have a high day. You use it when you need to, all right? So when do you need to use one? When your body is getting flat for too long, you need to fill back up. Obviously, intramuscular glycogen depletes. When that depletes, your body starts tapping into the fat tissue, your triglycerides, your adipose tissue, starts converting that into energy. So if that's the theory, oh, well, why don't we just get fat, use all up all our glycogen, and then we just burn through all the fat, and then we'll be ready super fast. Sounds great in theory, doesn't it? Because we can all prep in, a matter of weeks. Body doesn't quite work like that. First and foremost, you need glycogen. Well, you need energy available for training purposes, the energy to go into the gym and continue to lift the weights that you did in the off season, to continue to give your body a reason to keep that muscle around. Because otherwise, if you haven't got the energy to perform like you did, or even better, because performance can go up in a prep, then your body's going to be like, well, I don't really need that muscle because he's not really using it, so let's get rid of that, because that's easy. Once we get rid of that, he's a bit lighter and it's a little bit more manageable. You're trying to avoid that happening, because otherwise you just diet all your muscle off and then you just turn up like a bag of bones, still not in condition. The more muscle you have, the more of you demanding energy. So more of you demanding energy, theoretically, you can burn more fat. Doesn't quite work like that, but you kind of get the general gist of the idea. I'm doing a massive just speed run through of a lot of scientific stuff here, but the bare basics for most people is what they want to hear. So what you've got to do is you've got to feed up the muscle every once in a while, put some glycogen back in there, and kind of start that process again of depleting glycogen and then burning through body fat. Now you have to get flat to burn through fat. 99.99999% of people have to do that. Now, how do you know if you're flat? That's a fair question. Most people, it's when you start to look worse. So you're looking in the mirror, everything's there, the muscle looks nice and good and full, and all of a sudden, like, it's starting to look a little bit deflated. I'm having a little bit more trouble tensing it, and it's not quite as round, it's not quite as popping. Okay, you're probably getting a bit flat at that point. And then you're like, oh, actually, there's less detail in it than there was. On the other day, it was all stripped out and there was deep cuts between everything. And now it's kind of smoothed over a bit. You're starting to get a bit flat. Now, you need to spend a little bit of time flat before you fill back up, because obviously that's when you're burning into the fat tissue. How long to wait? Person dependent, and also depends how much body fat you've already got rid of. Because if you've already got rid of quite a lot, your body can run away fast. If you're at the beginning and you've still got quite a bit of body fat to burn through, you know what, you could probably spend a little bit longer there just to try and mobilise some of that fat. And also, if you're towards the beginning of the diet phase, I hate this word, but you haven't built up as much fatigue. So you don't need to worry about managing fatigue. If anyone wonders why I hate that, it's just because I think it's thrown around way too much by people who don't know how to even accumulate fatigue. It is a thing, but don't worry about it. This is actually really not helpful advice at all, but I'm going to just run with it. Okay. Now, there is there are instances where your physique can look worse, but you're not actually flat. And that's normally inflammation. Now, you can get inflammation from too much fatigue. There we go. Or if you're ill. So how do you know which is which? Because both are instances where you look worse visually. Inflammation, typically speaking, your body weight's either going to stay the same or go up. So because you're going to be retaining water, you might still be full, but you've got inflammation. You can still be full and then inflamed. That happens all the time in the off season when you're caning it and the training's good and you're feeling yourself and you're smashing the shit out of the gym. And then all of a sudden you're like, training performance is suffering, sleep's suffering, my body weight's gone up, I don't feel as good, I don't look as good. Yeah, you've probably built up a little bit of inflammation and you need to pull back a bit. Now, if that happens in a diet phase, what do? Do you eat food or do you do something else? Well, I actually recommend just resting a little bit more. If you want to run a deload or whatever, that's fine. But just dropping the expenditure, maybe dropping back the cardio, maybe dropping back the steps, that kind of thing, dropping back the training volume, that will also help reduce the inflammation. So that's a general overview of when you know if you're running flat or you're getting inflamed and how you can recognise each. Because both can look the same in some ways, but flat is you look deflated, inflamed is where you look watery. Okay? You're going to have to spend a long time looking at yourself in the mirror, at your physique, and also go and watch other people's preps. Go and watch other YouTube series of people prepping, and you can watch their physique and they can talk you through when they're seeing what. And it might give you a bit more of an idea of, okay, that's what he's talking about. That's when he's flat. That's when he's inflamed. That's when he's full. Seeing the visual differences. So, why do a cheat day or why do a high day? Now, I've obviously done one of each so far. Data collection. We know how I looked after the high day. We know how I looked after the cheat day. Both were similar amounts of weight gain that went up and then dropping off at similar-ish rates. I'd argue I was a little bit fuller after the cheat meal, but obviously there's more sodium in a cheat meal, so that makes sense. And I'd also say my digestion was a bit worse after the cheat meal than it was after a high day, because the high day was just business as usual. Cheat meal was a little bit worse. So if you're kind of thinking, well, I need to fill up, but I need to kind of crack on. I can't really waste time with digestion being an issue. I need to keep my waist tight, all that kind of thing. Then a high day is probably the better way to go. If you've been running flat for ages because you've been digging, you might need a little bit more extra help trying to fill back out again with, extra sugars, extra salt, all that kind of thing. So a cheat meal might work better. So it's very much person dependent and also where that physique is up to at that time. So there's no definitive answer about when's best to do a cheat meal or when's best to do a high day. It's person dependent. You're just going to have to figure your body out. And that's why this whole coaching things exists, because people are paid to work out other people's bodies. It's not so much of this guy's got the secrets behind the best plans or the best nutrition. They've got the best eyes at seeing a physique and knowing what it needs. Like Chris Aceto talked about it in his interview, like he did recently on Overcome podcast. He's just like, my skill is looking at a body and being able to tell you what your body needs. And that's why he's one of the best coaches in the world. Now, I nickname Andy Aceto because that's what he is. He's the eye that looks at me and goes, actually, your body needs this. Your body needs to do this. He knows how my body responds, and he knows what I'm looking at. He's looking at from, over 5 years experience of working with me, but also with all the other people he's worked with over the years. That pool of knowledge that he's built up, he can apply very, very well. So it's always good to have a coach in your corner who's not only, educated in terms of how things work scientifically and, in terms of nutrition and training, but also someone who can look at a physique and recognise, actually, this is what I'm seeing. I know what I'm seeing. We need to do this, X, Y, Z. So basically, that's a general overview right there. Cheat meals versus high days. It's not a reward. You use them when you've been running flat. If you've been running flat for longer, you might need a little bit of extra help. And one final thing about cheat meals, if you're going to use cheat meals, try and use the same cheat meal, because at least you know how your body responds to that. If you're doing pizza one time, burgers another, sushi another, Nando's another, it all works, but it's a little bit less predictable. If you're ordering the same cheat meal every time you're doing one, which to be honest shouldn't be that often, really, but everyone's a bit different. If you've got a guy who's 300 pounds on stage, shredded to the beans, yeah, it's probably going to need to feed him pretty often. But yeah, if you can keep it the same, it's just going to be a lot more easy for you to manage. Now, if you're dieting yourself, say you're watching this and you're like, I really wanted to know because I'm doing this myself, I don't know when to implement these things with myself. What I'd first suggest is take photos of how your physique looks every day. Not only like look in the mirror, but take photos of yourself every day. And then not to kind of count down the moments until you can give yourself, just watch the changes. Watch the changes. Now, you'll be like, this day I can see this day I can see this. Just keep going and just see if you can start to notice patterns in what your physique does. Because there will be certain areas that flatten out first and certain areas that might stay full the whole time. And if you're like, if you're genetically blessed and you're like, my quads just do not change, they look exactly the same, but my upper body is getting, less round and less poppy, and actually the proportion's going off now, it's not because your quads are growing, it's because your upper body's getting flatter. So just take photos every day and monitor it. If you can write down the weight to go with each day as well, just so you've got a really clear understanding of what's happening. When no other variables are changing, you're still training, you're still doing your cardio, it's exactly the same, diet's exactly the same, all that kind of thing. It's going to give you a very good starting point to kind of assess when you might need one of these. And if you are someone starting out on this journey and you're doing your first diet and that's why you're watching this video to learn, then I'd recommend starting with a high day where you go like plus 30% of your normal carbs. See how you respond to that. If you do that and you drop weight, I might need to do another high day, back to back, 30% carbs again. Or you'd be like, right, actually, let's dig in for a few more days, and then next time I do it, I'll do 35% or 40%. And if it gets to a point where you're like, I'm on nearly double the amount of carbs and like I'm still dropping weight and the visual change isn't happening, you might need to look at doing a cheat meal. So that's how I'd structure it, and I hope that's helpful. So yes, I've had a cheat meal, I've had a high day, body weight's continued to come down, looks improving, it's all happy days. So it's business as usual at 13 weeks out, everything's ticking over. Like I said, Friday, Andy's going to come down, we're going to train together, and he's going to take a look at me in person, and hopefully he is not too brutal with his... He's never brutal, but because he knows I'm doing the work, but hopefully he's happy with what he sees. I'm happy with what I see, so hopefully he is as well. Anyway, sorry if I rambled on a bit long there, but I have a tendency to talk about myself a lot because I'm a narcissist. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope you like and subscribe, comment, all that jazz. If you have any other topics surrounding prep or diet or whatever that you think might be useful for my opinion on, which I don't understand why, because there's people out there with far better education experience than me. However, I'm just sharing my experience with you all, and whether you like it or not, it's on YouTube for me to look at when I'm an old cunt. So yes, please let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about. Catch you in the next video. The Naked Smurf, signing out.